Republican John Hardy. He is challenged by Democrat Daniel Bennett and Libertarian Brett Rogers. And joining our panel is Corey Roman. He is a city council member in Martinsburg. Corey, welcome. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you all for having me.
Corey will be asking questions of our candidates as well. David Welch will begin our opening questions after we get our opening statements, and we'll begin with Daniel Bennett, the Democrat nominee for the 63rd. Daniel, good morning. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, Rob. I want to thank everybody and my opponents here for talking to you, the public, about the important issues before us here in Berkeley County and the 63rd District. At the beginning of this campaign, as COVID-19 was striking, I realized that I couldn't just sit back. I made sure that in my late wife's memory, that I would go and take my T-shirt budget, tear it up, and have masks, hundreds of masks, delivered all throughout the county, to the VA Medical Center, to the post office in Martinsburg, to the Meals on Wheels, to small businesses all around. I realized that that was more important. And for years, when my late wife, who was struck with leukemia back in 2006, for the next 11 years, I was her caregiver. And she wanted to make sure that her sacrifices, that people would learn from them, and that other people might survive and live better lives because of her efforts. And so that's why I named these masks Sue's masks in her memory, in the hope that other people might survive. Just this morning, you hear that Berkeley schools have been shut down, a couple of them, because of the COVID. We need to be on top of this. In addition to that, we need to look at how to solve the problems that are coming across in other places. For example, when I worked for a member of Congress, I passed legislation that saved U.S. taxpayers billions of dollars by forcing the federal government to put its forms online so they can be signed and submitted electronically. I will bring the same determination to Charleston to make sure to take their antiquated systems and put them online and help us save taxpayer dollars right here in the 63rd District. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel Bennett. Now to the incumbent, Delegate John Hardy. John?
Good morning, and thank you guys for having us this morning. I want to tell you guys a little bit about myself and why I ran to become the delegate and the things that I have accomplished. So my name is John Hardy. I'm 47 years old. I'm a local business owner, small business owner. I am the current delegate for the 63rd District. I am also the Assistant Majority Whip and also on the Finance Committee. I want to tell you a little bit about what I stand for and things that are important to me. So first of all, I want to let everyone know that I'm a Christian. My Christian values are very strong, embedded in me, and it's my moral compass and the way that I live my life. I'm pro-life. I've worked with the Republican caucus on the Born Alive bill, and I've been endorsed by the West Virginians for Life. I'm a staunch pro-Second Amendment candidate. I worked on in the Republican caucus with to reduce the rates of concealed carry permits. We was able to reduce those fees. Also, I'm endorsed by the NRA with an A+ rating. I'm a veteran. I served both in the United States Army and the West Virginia National Guard. One of the pieces of legislation that I was proud that we was able to defeat in last session was the Defend the Guard bill. It's a bill that sounds good, but in all reality, it's a horrible piece of legislation, and we were able to defeat that. Pro-business and pro-economic development, I will continue to work to grow West Virginia's economy and grow our base. West Virginia has a very poor work participation rate. We only have about a 54% work participation rate, so that means we have almost as many people pulling the wagon that's riding in the wagon. So I'm endorsed by the West Virginia Chamber of Commerce, and also worked very hard for tax reforms. So as I ask for your vote for November 3rd to get back to Charleston, to work very hard to continue the work that we have done to move West Virginia forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Delegate Hardy. And now to the Libertarian candidate, Brett Rogers. Brett, good morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you all for having me again. As I've said before, a lot of places aren't as receptive to having third parties come in and be able to debate against the other two major parties, so I'm really appreciative that you guys have been so welcoming to me and to other libertarians on your show on a regular basis. I'm a licensed mortician, licensed HVAC technician, and I own my own business, a little food truck we've talked about before. last time we ran against John, he had said that he had a lot more experience because he owned a business, and I'll have to give it to him. He's right, because now that I've started my own business, I had no idea what was up against in this state and the type of laws and taxes and regulations that you have to deal with to try to start something small. And then you see continually in the news that these large corporations are just getting tax breaks left and right. And, this is more of a run against the two other parties than it is against John Hardy. It seems like no matter who's in charge, whether Republicans or Democrats, you really don't see much different in society if you're just one of the little guys trying to make it, and that's what I'm here for, try to focus on some of the issues that, the two parties really aren't concerned about. They're concerned about the people with the money and things like that, and this is a pure run for just the small guys to try to bring some integrity and some accountability back in the government.
Thank you, Brett Rogers. First question goes to David Welch.
First of all, this district is special to me because I live in it, and I will get to vote for one of you this year. And I also want to, just before I ask my question, I want to thank both John Hardy and Daniel Bennett for your very generous contributions to Rob and I's efforts in raising money for Parks and Recreation. The funny story is that John Hardy came in about 5 minutes after we opened with $500, and Daniel Bennett called in about 5 minutes later and matched it. So we love that great bipartisanship. As you know, Berkeley County is a high-growth area. With growth comes certain challenges. What do you believe are among the most important of those challenges, and how can you, as a state legislator, help our area find solutions to the challenges to a more populated Eastern Panhandle? Let me start with you, Brett.
And gentlemen, I would ask you as we go through these rounds to try to limit our answers to about 1 minute, okay?
Yes, sir. It's like I said before, there's a lot of regulations and burdens that come about starting a new business. The way things are now, and especially, what the Republicans and Democrats passed this past year with House Bill 4001, where they basically created they gave the governor and all the little committee there all the power to run the economics of the state of West Virginia. And the way it is here in Berkeley County, city council, county council, they want to be the ones pulling all the strings of who's starting the businesses. There's no free market at all in the county, and that's the same way with the state. I believe we need organic business growth for local people to be able to get in the market and start small businesses. I mean, I go camping and backpacking all over the state, and you go to these little towns that do not have near the amount of money that we have here in Berkeley County, and they have small little restaurants and bars and breweries and stuff everywhere, and it's like, why can't we have something like that here in Martinsburg? You got to drive 45 minutes away. And we're starting to see some things like that, but it's all being done by who is giving somebody permission to start this business and whatnot. And that is not the way to grow an economy or a society. We all have to work together, and the people of this community, I think, are the ones that know what this community needs best, not legislators in Charleston.
Delegate Hardy, again, the question, with this growth comes certain challenges. How do we meet, what are those challenges, and how do we meet those in this growing area that we call the 63rd District or Berkeley County?
So that's a very easy question to answer. So to expand on that, the first thing we need to do is make sure that we are keeping as much of taxpayers' money here in Berkeley County, the money that is generated here, not being sent to Charleston for redistribution of wealth. We know that we have a very centralized government in Charleston, so we need to try to make sure that we are keeping as much of our taxpayers' base and as our money that is generated here. With that being said, I was able to successfully pass a bill that brought over $3 million back from Charleston to the Eastern Panhandle. It's a piece of legislation I'm very proud of. I worked on it very hard for 2 years. I was able to get it through the House in my freshman year. It failed in the Senate, but I was able to go to the Senate and build some relationships over there and was able to get this piece of legislation passed. It's the the excise tax reform bill, and it's going to bring over $3 million back to the Eastern Panhandle from Charleston, and that will continue to grow. As more real estate sells in the counties, that tax will grow, and that tax will stay here in the county. That money comes back to the county commissioners unencumbered, and then it's our job to go to the county commissioners and get that money and be it spent where we want it to be spent. So that's money that's going to flow right directly back into our county.
Thank you. Daniel Bennett?
As I've been walking and driving and talking to people all over this 63rd district, I've been finding people like Helen Claire Grizzle, who fell into the open ditch in front of her house because the developer didn't put in sidewalks. I talked to Clarence Settle, who is worried about his attic catching on fire because of inadequate inspections and low quality by people who get away without doing the good work that they should be doing by these developers. And even you, David Welch, told me just on the radio the other day that you were surprised that the street sign in your development is really more of a suggestion, that the sheriff and the deputies can't enforce the stop signs and miles per hour signs that are speed limits that are everywhere all over. We need someone to stand up for us in Charleston to take West Virginia Code 36B, the Common Interest Ownership Property Act, and change it to help protect us here. We need people on our local county commission who, instead of doling out favors and waivers to the developers at the expense of pedestrian safety, things that are actually in the county ordinances, but they give exceptions left and right, including my opponent, John Hardy. While he sat on that county commission, he took a campaign contribution from a developer who had ongoing business before that commission. We need people to stand up for the little guys, for the residents here, for their safety, and to protect their property values.
And just a point of clarification, what commission are you speaking to that John was on?
Berkeley County Planning Commission.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
All right.
You have an opportunity to respond to that, John, since you were mentioned directly.
Sure, I would love to have a rebuttal to that. First of all, I have never taken any campaign contributions from any developer. Let me expand on this a little bit. When I was on the Planning Commission, when I decided to run for the House of Delegates, I never attended another Planning Commission meeting. When I was elected, when I was successfully elected to the West Virginia House of Delegates, I resigned from the Planning Commission. Now, what Mr. Bennett is talking about, I have taken contributions from friends and business colleagues. I will tell you that I haven't been in business in this county for 25 years. I have forged very many relationships. I'm personal friends with every one of the county council people. I'm friends with most of the city council people. I'm friends with the city manager. You form these relationships by intimately being involved in your community. I give back a lot to this community. So if you want to question me for taking a campaign donation from someone who's been a personal friend and a business colleague for 25 years, then that's okay. That's okay. You can do that. But I would tell Mr. Bennett, I don't know you, and you sure as hell don't know me. So I would say if you would like to debate the ideologies and the policies of the state and what we're going to do to move this state forward, I would be glad to do that. But I don't appreciate you slandering my name or dragging my name through the mud. I've worked 25 years timelessly in this community to build my reputation, my personal name and my business name, and I don't appreciate it.
Well, I don't really appreciate the cozy relationships that the people who are on the Berkeley County Planning Commission have with everybody. When I went in front of them the other day and said, we need someone who represents the HOA members finally, and not just the developers and friends and longtime friends of these developers. We need people who actually represent the people who live in these communities, who are doing without sidewalks, who the promises that the developers make get broken all the time. We need to protect the safety of our children who have to go in the streets, and we need to make sure that these streets are passable. They are not happening. I would like to say that Commissioner Gant, when I made this suggestion, who served with you, laughed at the idea of you, the residents, doing it because you can't read documents. We need to change these policies. We can't have the same old cozy relationships of politicians. I'm not going to apologize for pointing out what is clearly fact.
Thank you for, John, did you?
Yes,
I kind of want to move on.
I would say your argument is with the Berkeley County Planning Commission, which I am no longer a part of. I am focused on moving West Virginia forward, not stymieing economic development in Berkeley County. The way we move this state forward is through economic development and education, and I've been a champion for that in Charleston. So if you want to work against the Planning Commission, if you don't like what they're doing, then your argument's with them, not with me. I want to work to continue to move Berkeley County and West Virginia forward.
Dave, do you have a follow-up, or we move
No,
to Corey?
let's move on to another question.
All right, Corey Roman, your question.
What key trait makes you more viable other than your opponents for this office?
Who's your question directed to, Corey?
It is going to be Mr. Hardy.
I will tell you that I have worked 25 years building a very successful business in a very tough atmosphere. The business that I run is not for the faint of heart, and you better have thick skin, and you better be like a duck and let things roll off your back. I've been a job creator. I have employed many people over the years and put a lot of money into the local economy. So I understand the workings of small businesses and the challenges of small businesses. I have worked 25 years in building relationships, and I think that's my strongest suit in Charleston. I am very relatable to most people. I can really talk to anyone about anything. I believe that's probably why I was made an assistant majority whip. I have good relationships with both people or on both sides of the aisle and able to forge those relationships. So, and I work hard. I'm a very hard worker. You will find me most times in the finance office, working through the budget and also working on my legislation that I'm trying to get through.
Brett Rogers,
Yep.
you're next.
Mr. Rogers.
I believe that I'm the most viable candidate because I am a younger man who has an open mind that's willing to address things that have not been addressed by some of the older generations that just have already have businesses. They're already making money. They've already got things set, and they're comfortable. And I know, speaking from a lot of people our age, and you know how it is being 20 years old, I don't understand how anybody our age can be comfortable at all with what's going on in society right now. You know, I started my own business from scratch, and I'm trying to, you know, work my way through and do some things to grow it, and it's very, very difficult. I can't even think about having an employee right now, and partially that's because of the business I chose to operate. But I'm willing to sit down and have conversations that generally these other two parties are not concerned about addressing at all. That's why we're in the situation. Every couple of years you hear the same thing, but we're going to fix this or fix that, and it's pretty much the same result. I know John's excited about the money coming back to Berkeley County, but like I've said before, unless you own a business or something, that money's not coming back to these everyday citizens that are out here punching a clock 9 to 5 to people. It's going into the county council, and who knows where that's going to go, wherever else. I mean, they'll probably end up giving a tax break to somebody, some other big corporation, while you got small people out here that's trying to pay their bills and try to get affordable health care and everything else. It's insane.
Thank you.
Daniel Bennett.
I worked on Capitol Hill across the party aisle with the strong support of Republican leadership for the Government Paperwork Elimination Act. That act, which forced the federal government to put all of its forms online so they could be signed and submitted electronically, then led to e-sign, the electronic signatures for commercial work. Those two acts that I worked closely across the aisle with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and lots of other major associations and consumer groups to help save U.S. taxpayers and businesses billions of dollars. I have been asked by both Democrats and Republican leadership to come and speak before people at the Capitol to tell them how to better work with technology to help save and protect the U.S. citizen. Here in the 63rd District, where my late wife and I moved to because we fell in love with it, we have been working hard, not only giving out masks, but I am an instructor at the Shepherd University's Lifelong Learning Program. I lead a discussion group. I am a board member of the Friends of the National Conservation Training Center. I'm a part of this community, and a lot of the people in our district come from all across the country, and they need someone to represent them and be the problem solver working to solve problems together down in Charleston. I'm that person.
Corey, did you have a follow-up?
No. Thank you all for your answers.
Can I have a quick rebuttal to something Mr. Rogers said? He said something about the money coming back to the county, and it wouldn't be to the, you know, everyone would be able to have access to it. That money is not just going to go into the county council and sit in a coffer. That money is going to go back into Parks and Rec. It may go into the county sheriff's office. It may go into fire. It may go into ambulance. That money is going to get filtered back into the county, and that money is going to affect everyone in the county in a good way. I mean, the county council has the full disclosure of using that money in the ways that they want. And that was one of the things that made the bill very, everyone seemed to like the bill because it came back unencumbered. It had nothing, it wasn't tied to any certain things, because certain counties need different monies for different things. Like if we want it for green space, but Wyoming County, the last thing in the world they want is more green space. So that money is going to percolate down through the county council's budget and go into areas where it will be utilized by everyone in the county. And we're just hoping that money continues to grow.
Gentlemen, we are just about out of time. Brett, we're going to go to closing statements, and if you'd like to incorporate your response into your closing statement, by all means, go right ahead. I'm going to start with you because John just spoke.
Okay. So in regards to that, like I said, I mean, every time you turn around, no matter if it's Republicans or Democrats in charge, it's always more and more and more. They just got this money that he's talking 300 million, would you say, or however much that they're getting here at the county council, and now they're entertaining a 1% tax increase on the county, just like the city put in. And it just, if you're sitting here in my shoes, every time you turn around, it's just more, and less freedom, less government. I'm probably the only person on this stage right here that just doesn't simply salivate over the thought of the government being able to have power over your life. I literally want people to be free. I want you to have the choice in your schools, your choice in your health care, the choice in your homes, your lives, and who you marry, how you spend your time. The government has no business doing half the stuff that they're doing nowadays, and you're never going to see the government restored to what it was originally supposed to be by voting for Republican or Democrat, because they both love power, they both love money, and they love being in charge and telling people what to do, trying to force what they believe on everybody else in society. And that's why you see such extreme polar climate now in politics, where everybody's at each other's throats because they have so much control over our lives. And until we stop voting for these parties, nothing will change.
Brett Rogers, Libertarian candidate, thank you. Daniel Bennett, Democrat Party candidate.
I want to thank you, Rob and David, and of course Corey, for doing this, and for all the people out there. I want you to know that I'll work with you. I've been talking to people all across this district about the problems that concern you, and I can be that problem solver that works together in Charleston to help you. I think that we don't need people with cozy relationships who go down to Charleston and cut the needed certification for people working on your HVAC systems when they get down there. And I don't think we need people who used to give favors and waivers to the developers when they sat on the planning commission here in Berkeley County. We need someone who will fight for you. I'm that person. I ask for your vote in November. Thank you.
Daniel Bennett, Democrat challenger, thank you very much. And now to the incumbent, Republican John Hardy.
Thank you, gentlemen, and thanks to everyone out there who is watching this. I just want to come back and tell you that I am your delegate. I'm your delegate, John Hardy, the delegate of the 63rd. I'm here for the people. I have worked very hard and tirelessly the last 2 years to try to do the best that I can in Charleston and make sure that Berkeley County is represented very well. I want to talk a little bit about some of the legislation that we've been able to pass, if I can briefly just talk about that. So here's quickly some legislation that I've been involved with and the Republicans have passed in the last 2 years. We've had the Defend the Guard bill, which we defeated, the excise tax reform bill, solar energy bill, which is going to give Fortune 500 companies that want to come to Berkeley County, that want to build the economy of Berkeley County and provide jobs here, is going to give them a choice for some solar energy to put into their platform. The foster care bill, as we spoke about, $18 million to help foster children, creating a second Mountaineer Challenge Academy, which helps children who are some of our most vulnerable children get their education and prepare them for the military. The $100 cap on insulin was a huge piece of legislation that we passed. So we've been able to cap the insulin costs for our diabetics. Also, the end of forced annexations, and also the tourism bill that we was able to put in to help the Hilltop House and Harpers Ferry. I'm your delegate. I need your help. I want to go back to Charleston to work for you. Please vote Hardy on November 3rd. Thank you very much.
John Hardy, Daniel Bennett, Brett Rogers, thank you to all three of you, and best of luck on Election Day. We are back with more after this.
Hi, this is Delegate John Hardy. I've been humbled and privileged to serve the people of the 63rd District for the last 2 years. I would be honored to serve you again for a second term. As your legislator, I am proud to have introduced and led the passage of the excise tax reform bill, returning over $3 million to the Eastern Panhandle. I'm a lifelong resident, local business owner, proud veteran. I support Second Amendment rights and fight for lower taxes for West Virginia taxpayers. Please visit my Facebook page, Delegate John Hardy.
Paid for by candidate.
Orsini's, not just an appliance store anymore. They're your one-stop resource for all home needs, whether it's custom kitchen design, countertops, or cabinets, or check out their new sleep studio with Tempur-Pedic, Sealy, and Stearns & Foster. For all of your outdoor living needs, Orsini's has Gladiator Garage Works, Traeger grills, barbecue accessories, barbecue rubs and sauces, and every flavor wood pellets. Visit their brand new 8,200 square foot showroom at 360 Hack Wilson Way, 304-267-725.